two, one. Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome back to another exciting film journey here on Delusions of Grandeur. I am your host for today, and today I bring to us a film that we have not covered on this channel as of yet. I know we have covered it on Inside Movies Galore, so please turn your attention to that discussion if you so please give it a like, share, and subscribe. And let's get started here. So this is a film that was filmed in 1984, and it comes to us from a director by the name of Wolfgang Peterson. And it was based on a 1979 fantasy novel by a German writer by the name of Michael Ende. And I guess at first Michael Ende was ecstatic that his book was being translated into film form, but after the film was made, he totally tried to sue the production companies and everything. He really did not like the adaptation.
Sounds like Stephen King.
He thought the film was so removed from the novel that he basically signed off as a kid. My mom threw this on a VHS at the time that it came on to TV, and it was a movie that I watched over and over. It became kind of a classic, at least where I was concerned. And I think it kind of became a classic in Tammy's mind, but we'll get to her viewpoint in a moment. But the film, it was shot somewhat in Vancouver, somewhat in Bavarian Studio One in Munich, for the most part. And it stars such actors as Noah Hathaway, Jarrett Oliver, Tammy Stronach, Gerald McCraney, among others. I mean, we got Chris Eastman, who played the first bully, Daryl Cooksey, the second bully, Nicholas Gilbert as the third bully, Thomas Hill, Deep Roy, which Deep Roy ended up showing up as the one and only, not Munchkin, but in the Charlie and the Chocolate Factory version with Johnny Depp, he was the one that looked like he was a Mexican, as the Oompa Loompa.
Who?
Well, instead of having various different different little people playing the part, they decided to use one main person, and that and ended up being Deep Roy. Deep Roy played the snail racing dude in this movie. So, but let's see what IMDb says about the film. A troubled boy dives into a wondrous fantasy through the world through the pages of a mysterious book. So that's very vague. Let's
there
go.
is a longer description a little below on the page.
I don't use that. I use whatever IMDb supplies as the vague description. So, Boris, was this a first time watch for you?
Much to my shame, which is probably partially because of this movie actually being older than me. Yeah, it was my first time watching it. I have heard the song Neverending Story, but this is actually the first time I watched the movie, and I did enjoy it. It was really nice. I also like the message it portrays at the end. It's also interesting that they managed to create a plot that's exciting enough without actually having some big villain if you don't count the bullies. Uh, and yeah, it, like I said, it was maybe not the kind of movie I normally go for, but I did enjoy it.
Okay. Did you have any more viewpoints before we head over to Tammy?
Whew. Whew. Well, I don't know, nothing specific comes to mind for now.
Okay. Heading over to you, Tammy. Was this the first time watch for you?
No, I've seen it tons of times. I remember my father's the one that played it for me the first time, and um, my dad has always had electronics, you know, good stuff. So he had like a nice sound system, and so the first time he played it, it was like really cool, and
Whew.
um, I thought it was. I really liked it because when I saw it the first time, I was, I guess you would say, at, at a pretty good age for seeing it because I was 12 when it came out. So I figure I probably saw it somewhere within that first year that it was out. Um, because I didn't actually meet my father till I was 12. So I figure it had to be
Oh.
somewhere within my that first year that it was out. So it was something nice and special with him and me. So, but yeah, I really liked it a lot. And I still do. I don't get tired of watching it.
Yeah.
Okay. Is that pretty much it then for you?
Yeah, for now, till we get into the movie.
Okay. And no, this was not a first time watch for me. Like I said, my mom threw it on a VHS with a bunch of other stuff. And I think the second one, she ended up throwing on something for us as well. And it was on my general watch rotation during while I was a kid, and then I eventually ended up picking it up on DVD. And of course, I didn't know all the background stuff that the author like totally hated it, the adaptation, because evidently the screenplay that he was originally showed by the director had completely changed. In fact, Noah Hathaway, the kid who played Treo, I guess he claimed that the makeup crew actually tried to make him entirely green like he was in the novel, and he looked like fungi.
Oh.
But they ended up not going with that. So
Well, actually, that explains a lot because.
apparently was the most expensive production. It was the most expensive production made in Germany at the time. I guess it was made with the budget of 50 million Deutschmark, which at the time was 27 million.
Whoa.
This was the most expensive film ever produced in Germany at the time, and Let's see. At the time of its release, it was the most expensive film produced outside of the United States and the Soviet Union. So that was another thing. So, other than that, I enjoy the film. I enjoy it a lot more now. I know that there were some critics of the time that talked about how shoddy the characters were whatnot at the time. I actually thought that they were cool. I mean, when you saw them at the ivory tower or whatnot, gathered there, some of the other creatures and whatnot. I actually thought they were, for its time, not too bad. It could have been worse.
Well, yeah, pretty much.
So, that being said, let us go into the story. So, Sebastian, or Bastian, as we know him to be, Bastian is a kid who I feel like his mother has just recently died, not too long before this, and I do have to say something. This film is based on the first half of the novel that was written by Michael Ent. Because I always kind of almost relate the novel in a sense to like Alice in Wonderland, partially because Lewis Carroll's novel Alice in Wonderland was split in two different books. Okay,
Oh,
I I mean, you got Alice and then Alice Through the Looking Glass, you know. So this one had two different stories as well. It just had book one and book two, but it was all thrown together. So that's one big thing that I think was a major plot point that was missing. And the second movie of this uses the second half as the base of the storyline, but that too also, from what I understand, didn't entirely follow the book. And normally movies don't follow books to a T. You'll find that out. It's a pure Hollywood thing, and if you want directors to be any kind of creative, they're going to change something. It's going to happen. You cannot get out of that.
oh
But
yeah, although as a writer I would probably hate it if they changed too much in stories of my novels.
agreed. So that's why you want to have as much control over the way the story is going as far as anything. But unfortunately, when it comes to contracts and whatnot, normally that kind of control is not in in the cards. So you normally have to give up your rights of control over where the story goes after you sign your book rights over. It's
Uh,
unless you actually have someone who's going to be funding your money entirely independently. But in any case, we have Bastion, who um, we see in the very beginning of the film. He is actually very young. Bastion is played not by the Noah Hathaway character. I believe he's played by Barrett. Uh, looking, yeah, Barrett Oliver. It plays Bastion, and Tammy's the one that always notices this character. His father is played by who is Bastion's father played by, Tammy?
Gerald McGraney.
And where is he from that you know him from?
From a TV show called Simon and Simon.
Okay, so we have that character, which he plays as a very small character in here, and I think he's the narrator at the end of the film. But he basically tries to tell Bastion to keep his feet on the ground and to grow up. Basically, he's in this particular film. He's getting ready for work. He's a single father, and he basically wants his kid to start acting like an adult, even though he is that young. He's still a kid.
Oh yeah, that's a bit fucked up.
Sometimes,
Well, we realize we don't know what exactly happened, but the mother had recently passed, and that's what's going on. The father wants him to basically move on. He realizes it's hard because he lost his mom, but you know.
but I think he kind of takes it to heart, and at a young age that he is, he's very impressionable. So, um, he he even kind of do certain things, but that's besides the case right now. He's to go to school, and his father is to go to work. But on his way to school, he gets accosted by 3 bullies who bully him all the way to a dumpster. And then when he gets out of the dumpster, he gets bullied again and chased right into a bookshop. So, what do y'all think about that beginning? Were any of you bullied?
Uh, Maybe not that particular way, but yeah, back in elementary and middle school, especially middle school, I faced all sorts of bullying.
Yeah, here too. I was on the receiving end of bullying. I may not have been chased into a dumpster, but I definitely got into some fights of my own.
Mm,
I had some bullying here and there, but
y-
by the time
yeah.
I hit like middle school, it was like, I don't think so, people.
Okay, now I may be getting a little ahead of ourselves, but at the end, when Bastion got to make a wish about the bullies, I thought he should wish for them to get hit by a fucking meteorite.
I like what he wished better though.
But in any case, so Bastion runs into this bookshop, and it does anybody remember what the name of the bookshop was?
And no, I'm sorry. I don't remember.
Okay.
I think the old guy was named Coriander or something like that, like a plant.
Okay. So Mr. Coriander is bookstore. Mr. Coriander is the owner of this bookstore, and at first you think that Mr. Coriander is this mean, like a mean guy, because he's all like, "What are you doing in here? What are you running away from?"
I don't like children.
I don't like children. Yes, he's He's all that kind of thing, but he's reading this book, and he's warning him that all that there is books in here and all that jazz. And Bastion tells him that, but he likes books. He likes reading, and he's read Treasure Island, and he names off a bunch of classic novels that normally most boys his age don't tend to be reading, at least in this day and age.
At least not willingly.
No, not religiously like he seems to be. And he
Uh,
and he warns him that this novel is not for him. And the book gets uncovered. It says the Neverending Story on it, and it's got two snakes intertwined on the cover.
yeah, he should have known that saying to a kid, "This is not for you," is exactly the way to get the kid want to see and know more.
The
But
bookstore is just called Coriander's Antique Bookstore.
correct.
So, FYI.
So, um, but the Mr. Coriander, he basically says, "Have you ever uh, wanted? Have you ever wanted to be Captain Nemo when he was going up against the giant squid?" And he's like, "Yeah, those books are safe." uh, this book is not for you. And then he gets a phone call, and Bastion grabs the book, leaves an IOU note, and says, "I'll bring the book back." And Mr. Coriander, he smiles to himself, or smiles mischievously. So,
Well, yeah, he tells them that the difference between that book and like the Captain Nemo is that it is just a story, you know. And then he said, and that's why it's safe because it is just a story. This is not just a story. That's why it's not safe.
so he runs to his school, um, which he goes and looks inside his class. His class appears to be very busy, so he ends up going and taking the key that belongs to the school's attic. Which I don't know about you, but that attic looks pretty fucking cobwebby and dark, and looks like it would have been the kind of place that I would have run to if I had the choice to skip school to go to.
and and yeah, there was a skull on the shelf.
There was an owl on the shelf.
A skull.
Ah, yes, there was. And so he hunkers down and begins to read the book, and he narrates a little bit of it at a time, but then we begin to see some story of what is happening. Apparently, there is a force in this realm of what is called Fantasia, a force
Yes.
that is destroying. Well, not destroying, because destroying is at least something. A nothing is happening in the world of Fantasia, and there are three travelers that are on their way uh, to the Ivory Tower, which is apparently in the center of the entire world of Fantasia.
Indeed. Ooh.
Uh, I forget what the character with the bat is. I think he's a hobgoblin or I remembered.
Who?
See.
Yeah, good question.
But yeah, the world is being devoured by this malevolent force called the Nothing, and once these well, you got the racing snail that you end up meeting, and a bat flying creature and the rock biter, and they all interact. And at first they're afraid of the rock biter, but he's kind of a friendly rock dude, you know. He's big, he's gigantic, and he's kind of humbling almost. He's an interesting character, because he rolls in on this like like almost like cement rolling bicycle.
To me, it looks like a steamroller, only there's no steam.
Yeah, right. But it's basically like a tricycle that he rides in on, and he makes friends with the two, and they all say that they're going to go see the childlike empress. And once they get there, there's a ton of people from the land of Fantasia. There's people who looks like elephants. There are people who look like they've got two heads, and you know, big heads, small heads, different different characters of different kinds. And there's this bald-looking dude who comes out and says, and basically says the childlike empress is ill, and it seems to be connected to this nothingness that seems to be devouring the land. And our characters that we've been introduced to are looking in from outside. They're not quite inside the ivory tower area, but apparently they are awaiting the warrior Atreyu, who is coming from the plains people. And when Atreyu comes, he's a child. So they're like, go back. We were awaiting the warrior Atreyu. He was, and he's like, I am Atreyu. He's like, the guy's like, you cannot be Atreyu. Atreyu is a warrior. You are a child. Go back. We will await Atreyu. I'm the only Atreyu of the plains people, and I am a warrior. So if you do not want my help, even though you actually called for me, I can go away. And he's like, wait, stop.
He's like, I can go back and keep hunting buffalo.
Yes, that's what he said. And he was like, wait, if you are the Atreyu, as we have commanded of you, we do have a quest for you to go on. Would you like to go on a quest? And he's like, yes. And he's like, okay, well, you've got to leave all your weapons behind, save this. And he put the Oron, I think that's what they call it. The Oron is the necklace of the two snakes that are intertwined. And he puts that around his neck, and you must find a way to help the childlike empress figure out a way to make her well again. And so he's sent off on a journey, and he takes his horse Artet with him. And so what do y'all think about that whole section there? the people of Fantasia, the journey, the fact that the Empress is sick. And when you guys first saw this movie, what did y'all think about
Well, truth be told, since this is supposed to be some big fantasy land or something, I felt it was kind of not colorful enough for being what it was portrayed to be. Like I expected a wider variety of creatures and stuff like that. But story-wise, well, it makes enough sense. It's a decent beginning to a story of a quest for some big solution to save the world.
I thought it was quite colorful, even I mean, especially on the lands that the horse went through. And there were quite a few lands that the horse went through with the trio on it to show that there were many lands. At least until it got to the swamp of despair, which,
Indeed.
but at the same time that he started out on his journey, it was read by Bastian that there was another creature by the name of Gamork that started its journey.
Oh,
And
true.
this Gamork, what kind of creature did he look like, Tammy?
He looks something like a wolf.
Okay.
Ooh.
So Atreyu and Artax, well, you get to see a little bit of them two together. Falls asleep, and then you see them walking through the swamp of despair, and then suddenly behind him, Artax begins to sink into the swamp. I remember watching this the first time, and I remember crying when Artax began to sing, and when Artax actually.
Me too.
Oh.
The first time I saw this, and definitely the second time I saw this, I shed tears for Artax. Because he's telling him, he keeps crying to him, move. If you don't start moving, the sadness will get you, and all that jazz. And it's a depressing moment. I mean, he loses his horse, and his horse looks like it's intelligent, and it's beautiful, and it's a beautiful white. It's a beautiful creature, and it just. According to him, well, in that moment, it wasn't the nothing that took care of him. It was the swamp and the naturality of sinking despair that took his horse away from him. So he has to go onwards. And then we come across. Then he comes and crawls across Shell Mountain. And this is my favorite creature of the movie because I like turtles. This is a big, gigantic old turtle called Morla that he calls out to, and as soon as he rises from the swamp, he raises his head, and he's basically, what do you want, kind of thing,
Yeah.
The turtle's been there so many years all by itself that it talks like there's more. Like, we have been here for this many years, and
Oh,
we,
and
you know,
as soon as the head of the turtle appears, Bastion screams, and they both hear him.
Well, to be honest, that turtle annoyed me with being so unwilling to help.
Well, not only was it unwilling to help, but it was allergic. It was allergic to Atreyu.
I know
Or
that
at
was
least,
funny when it sneezed, and it's like, and he asked it if he asked, "You have a cold?" And it goes, "No, we are allergic to you," and it sneezes again.
do you maybe know from the novel if that was a literal allergy or if the turtle just said that to make him go away?
A little of both, I think. But Atreyu basically tries to tell him that he will die from the nothing, and he was like, "Die? That would at least be something."
Yeah.
But yeah, and so Atreyu basically tries to question Morla a little bit further, and he tells him about the Southern Oracle, and he's like, "But that is." Uh, I forget what the number was, but it was like something 100 billion miles away or some shit like that.
I thought it was
Uh,
something like 10,000
ten,
miles or something.
yeah, 10,000, I think.
Okay, and you will never get there. And he's like, "That is so far away." And of course, you begin to see Gamork running through the swamp, and gaining. Uh,
And now Atreus is totally depressed because he figures there's no way to get there. You know.
Correct, and he continues to walk, and you see that's when you see Gamork like he's gaining on him, and right before Gamork seems to pounce on him, that's when you see Falcor, the
My favorite.
dragon, uh, fly himself down from the sky, and Atreyu grabs onto him, and next thing you know, he wakes up and he's all bandaged up, and Falcor.
He's all clean.
I liked that dragon too. I kind of found the dog face they gave him kind of cute.
Yeah, and when he wakes up, he's like, "Can you scratch right behind my ear? I can't quite reach it." Oh, that's
Well, yeah. Then he asks. Well, before that, he asks him what he is, and he says that he's a luck dragon, and he said he likes kids, and he goes to eat, and he's like, no.
and then
Indeed.
he's like, I'm looking for the Southern Oracle, and I'm sorry that you can't get me there. What do you mean? It's right around the corner.
And then yeah, he says, yeah, I've brought you 990, 9,999 or whatever, you know, miles of the journey so far.
And that's when he meets the old married couple, the scientist and the Mrs. Engelbrook, they're kind of cute together because they're cranky with each other. You
Yeah.
can tell that they've been together with each other a long fucking
Yes,
time because
pretty
they are
much.
constantly insulting each other. It is my ultimate it is my ultimate what is it speciality. But Mr. Engelbrook, he's been a scientist, and I guess he's quite known in the Fantasia universe for being the foremost authority on the Southern Oracle, which I guess is a series of gates that has
Well,
these statues of winged creatures with nipples.
that's funny you're pointing that out. I was just about to say, when I saw this old guy's scientific drawings, my first thought was, is he drawing Kama Sutra?
But yeah, he's been studying the. Of course, he's never been to the Southern Oracle himself. Uh, he apparently knows a lot about this, and apparently, um, in order to pass through this gate, you've got to know yourself and be confident in order to pass through these at least the initial gates. And
Oh,
then, of course, the second part is the mirror of your true self.
oh yeah, that's a part that kind of confused me because I don't remember seeing a moment of Atreyu facing his true self or anything like that.
His true self was Bastion.
Huh.
It kept going and showing Bastion. Didn't you see that? Didn't you see
Who?
that it was when he was looking into the mirror, it was showing Bastion and where he was reading from, and showing that that was his true self. And
I,
in reality, it honestly it is at this moment because the reader that see this is a movie that breaks the fourth boundary.
uh, yes.
It basically brings the reader in and involves themselves in the story. Um, and not only but the emperor. When we eventually get to the empress at the end of this the story, she also says something. You know, even Bastion is part of the never-ending story, and there were others who were with him when he was being bullied and all that jazz, and they were
Yeah,
there with him. So it
that was
breaks not
really
only the
cool.
fourth wall but the fifth wall as well. You know,
Yeah.
but in any case, uh, Atreyu um, ultimately decides to go and after they see after he sees what happens to another a guy on a horse get like destroyed because evidently the eyes and the slits of these statues open up and they shoot out white light and destroy whoever comes through if they're not confident enough according to it's like
Yeah.
these statues have a sensor
Yeah, but
to sense those who are afraid and cowardly.
then the statues do try to attack him, which means he wasn't confident enough, but he still manages to pass through just by being fast enough of a runner.
Well, yeah, he ended up passing through because he definitely had enough confidence, and the splits ended up shooting and hitting each other, and sparks flew. It's like he was able to dodge the space in which if he had been there moments before, he might have been killed, but he was quick enough to dodge and jump out of the way. So, but I do kind of think that Atreus should have at least listened to what else was in store afterwards, but because the rest of it, he kind of he kind of runs into it without knowing what's coming. So, what did y'all think about the Southern Oracle and the Anglebrooks? Tammy, what did you think about the Anglebrooks and the Southern Oracle, or not the Southern Oracle? At least the beginning part.
I thought it was interesting. It was neat. It's you, I got a kick out of this scientist dude. He's trying to tell him all about it and everything, and he's having him look through his telescope or whatever, and yeah, and he was explaining it all, and then he got all excited when that night came up, and then he's like, watch him. Oh, is he gonna make it? Is he gonna make it? How do we'll see what he truly thinks of himself, and if and then they watch the knight almost makes it, and then the oracle's eyes open and destroy him, and Atreo takes off before he can tell him what he has to do for the second one, but he ends up making it. What do you think about it, Boris?
Yeah, I'm sorry, I had some audio glitches. Can you please repeat what part are you asking me about?
What you thought of the whole oracle and the scientists and Atreo going through that?
Wait, I remember he passed through that gate where there was supposed to be a mirror, and then oh wait, why am I not remembering that exact moment now? Damn, I saw the movie a few hours ago. I'm trying to remember what exactly was happening there.
Which one? The first one or the second?
The one you're asking about.
Well, we want to know what you thought about the oracles and the whole thing, and how the scientist, he got all wound up about it and everything,
Oh, yeah. When he was worrying that Atreyu wouldn't pass through the statues. Yeah, I remember that part. That was quite intense, but I was, like I said, kind of confused that it was implied that confidence was what he needed in order to pass through the statues, but then it turned out that just being a fast runner was enough, even if he didn't really have the confidence. So that part kind of confused me. Then there was supposed to be this second gate, and like I said, that was that was the part that I didn't fully understand because they were saying that he was going to face his true self. Now you said that he faced Bastion there, but I don't know. I somehow didn't really get that.
Well, when he was looking in that mirror type thing, with the snow and everything, he was actually looking. It was actually Bastion and him looking at each other, because basically, like David said, Bastion is in a way a Treo. He is going on this whole journey with it. He's going on this journey like through him.
Uh, did that somehow lead to him flying on that dragon before falling and getting lost?
That was before that.
Wait, when he fell and got separated from the dragon, wasn't
That was
that
after.
late?
That was after the mirror.
Yeah, yeah, that's what I'm talking about. I just
They
for
were
some
on
reason
their way to try to find the boundaries of Fantasia, but they ran into the nothingness.
yes, yes. For some reason,
Is
this
that what
part,
you were confused about?
I think so. Yeah.
And then that's when he runs into the rock biter, and the rock biter tells his sad tale about how he couldn't hold on to his friends, even though his hands were look. He kept looking at his hands, and I always thought this was a sad part too, where he looked at his hands and he was like, "They look like big, strong hands now, don't they?" So when he's sitting there and he tells him that he's just going to wait for the nothingness to take him, that part's sad to me.
Indeed.
But he ends up in Atreyu ends up walking into this cave, and all these cave paintings are of things that have already happened.
Oh yeah, kind of as if it was prophesized or something.
Mm-hmm. I mean, as he walks forward, I mean, there's the moment he was given the Oron. There's a moment where he lost Artax, and things of that nature. I mean, up until he comes across the painting of Gamork, and he turns around, and there he is, and Gamork tells him that he has helped the Nothing accomplish what it set out to do, and he basically tells Atreyu that well, after he told him that they were looking for the boundaries of Fantasia, and Gamork's like, don't you realize what Fantasia is? It's the hopes and dreams of all that breed of anything. It's basically a world that was built for those who actually have imagination.
So Fantasia has no boundaries.
Correct. So, but ultimately, Gamork charges Atreyu, and Atreyu's like, "Come for me, Gamork, for I am a warrior," and he ends up killing him. And then,
Well, he tells him that he's the warrior that he seeks.
Mm-hmm.
That was a surprisingly quick battle, if you ask me.
Well, yeah, but I mean, this is like kind of more geared towards kids. You're not gonna have a big bloody battle. You know.
Correct. If it was geared more towards adults, like most children's books are nowadays, we might have gotten a bigger battle. But because it's for kids and for family friendly, it's not going to be this big all drawn out battle. Sorry to say.
Interesting point.
Kids and parents want to protect their children from all that jazz. I mean, if you want if you want to teach all kinds of young assassinators, but in any case, it's shortly after that we evidently get Falcor has found Bastion, and I believe Bastion has found the Oron again, because the Oron actually gets lost while he's fallen from Falcor for a moment.
Oh yeah.
But they are flying in like what looks like space, and they find the ivory tower. And they find the childlike empress, and that's when Atreyu has a conversation with the childlike empress, and she was like, "Well, no, you have not failed me. For you have brought the child with you." Because Atreyu did ultimately get to talk to the Southern Oracle. He did ultimately talk to the Southern Oracle, and the Southern Oracle basically told him that the only person that could save them is an Earth child. You know?
Yes.
So he's basically at the end of everything at the ivory tower with the childlike empress, and he's basically trying to tell the childlike empress that he's failed her. Well, she said no, he is not, because he's brought the human child with her. He was there when he began his journey. He was there, and he had to experience all of this so that he could know exactly what he had to do. And all he's got to do is just give me a new name. He's already picked it. And Bastion just can't believe it. I mean, it can't be him. This is just a story, to him, and he's back and forth, and then he's and the childlike empress like, "Bastion, call my name. All right, I will."
Yeah, I was like, what the hell is so difficult about shouting a name?
Well, he didn't know that he, like the childlike empress said, he didn't know that he is the one that has to save them, because he doesn't know that he's already part of the Neverending Story. He didn't know. This is not a normal situation. I mean, someone just does not read a book and realize that they are a part of the story. It just doesn't happen. I mean, unless you've read a book and suddenly we're stuck in the story.
No, that hasn't happened to me, unfortunately.
Oh, I'm sure we all wish that we could have ridden Falcor, or been part of some of these stories that we've read ever since we were a kid. I mean, some of these worlds are a hell of a lot better than the way this world is right now.
Hell yeah.
I mean, that would be awesome, but Bastion didn't know, couldn't understand. didn't realize that he was the key. But I know for many, many years, I didn't know exactly the name that he had shouted out in that rainstorm. But I I only know it because of the last time that we actually did this movie. It was actually the name Moonchild.
Oh,
Spoiler
yeah,
alert, ladies and
yeah.
ladies and
How,
gentlemen.
how was that a name? He also mentioned earlier
It was
that
his
he
mother's
would.
name.
Yeah, how could a real life woman be named Moonchild?
Because
If her father was Frank Zappa, that'd be real easy. Because I believe Frank Zappa actually did have a daughter named Moonchild.
Oh wow.
Moonchild to me was like a '60s thing from all the drugs and stuff that you would be taking. You know,
Right.
to
You
me it's
think
a
of
hippie
Frank
name.
Zappa, you know?
Well, yeah,
Yeah.
Frank Zappa was definitely an interesting experimentalist.
Isn't Rob Zombie's wife named something like that?
Um, I know her middle name is Moon, Sherry Moon Zombie.
Okay. I know there was Moon something in it.
Yeah. So there are people with Moon and Moonchild in their names. Oh, and well, that doesn't count, but Kiss has Starchild. So, but in any case,
Yes,
uh,
Ace Frehley. Ace Frehley is the star.
yeah. So, but in any case, at the end of everything, the childlike empress is
Oh wait, no, Ace isn't the star. Paul Stanley's the star.
okay. Well,
Ace is the one that's after he joined the band, he was the like the outer space type of look.
okay. Well, after you think that Fantasia is no more because of all its crumbling and whatnot, you see that the childlike empress is in the room with Bastion after he's named her with this tiny speck of what she calls the last little bit of Fantasia, and I guess all he's got to do is make a wish to begin it again, begin it again. He can make as many wishes as he wants, which is
And
a cool idea.
the more wishes, the better, because to rebuild it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And Boris, what do you think of his wish?
Well, if I remember correctly, he wished for the whole Fantasia to be rebuilt and everyone to be alive again, right?
Well, that was his first wish, but his second wish. What did you think about his second wish?
The about the bullies.
Uh huh.
Well, that was good. Okay, if I was in his situation, I would have possibly imagined some harsher punishment for them. But yeah, maybe he wasn't old enough to have such a dark imagination.
Well, what kind of
But
example does that set to other people if you're that harsh? You know.
yeah, well, it was decent. They got exactly what they did to him, with some getting chased by a dragon before that.
Well, and you saw some of the people that were around saying, "Oh, monster!"
Indeed, that was good.
Yeah, I liked the outcome. I thought that it was fitting that the bullies got the dumpster.
Well, yes, yes. It was definitely the least they deserved.
What did you think about that part, Tammy?
I
Do you
think
think
it was very fitting.
if something nastier would have happened, do you think it would have been the same movie?
No, I don't think it needed to be any nastier because, like we said before, this is considered a family movie.
Yeah,
So
maybe I watch too much horror.
Eh, maybe you think the extreme needs to be done more than the obvious.
Well, truth be told, that bullying incident. If I understood correctly, that wasn't the only time they bullied him. It was just the most recent time. So they,
Correct.
uh,
They
they
made it seem like this was a regular thing that they bullied him every day and he never had lunch money.
Yeah, so actually they got only a very small portion of everything they did to him.
Well, and he's got many wishes, so he could torture them forever if he really wanted to.
Ooh, okay, good point.
I would say that that's just a good start.
Fair enough.
And it says that Bastion had many more adventures, according to the end narrative. So, at the end of everything, what did y'all think about production? Tammy, what did you think about the production overall?
I thought it was really good, especially for its time. You know, like you said at the beginning about how much money they actually did put into this, and that's because they, you know, the the effects that were in it were actual effects. They were not CGI. That not in 1984. You know,
Oh yeah, yeah, I noticed some green screen and stuff.
but I mean, it's not. They had to really work on these sets and make things happen on them because you weren't going to have a computer doing it for you. So
Indeed.
I think the production was very good. I mean, I would have definitely taken a ride on Falcor.
Definitely.
And the size, when they do the size comparison with the turtle and a trail, that's just that's just something else. And even when he goes to the oracle, they make the oracle so huge compared to little, making they made a trail look so small. Their use of all these things, like even the rock biter, he's like a huge, like a size of a mountain, compared to the snail and the bat. So
Yeah,
there's all these size comparison with things, and the makeup and everything, and how to make everything move, like the racing snail and the bat and the rock biter. And I thought they did a really good job.
Well,
well, yeah,
indeed.
they tried to make it seem like this world was otherworldly, and unfortunately, some of it was montage. uh, for montage sake, with Atreyu on his horse Artex, so you got to see a lot of the world while he was journeying to the swamp of sadness, or the swamp of despair is what I think it was called. So yeah. Um, what did you, Boris, think about the production overall?
Well, yeah, just like Tammy said, for its time, it was really good since that was a time when they couldn't rely on CGI. I did notice some green screen and stuff like that. Some things that I could definitely see how they would make better these days. But yeah, for the time when it was made, it was really well done. Like I said before, maybe I wish we got to see a wider variety of creatures in a fantasy land like Fantasia, but it was okay.
And I know that there are some people that have been that have said that the death of Artex scarred them for life. So
Oh, really? Well,
yeah, there are some people who have said that scene just really, like, it was, it was very sad for a lot of people. That
well,
part where Artex died.
I don't know. To me, okay, it was a little sad, but we didn't really get to know Artax that well to get, at least I, to get that much devastated about it. I mean, it's not, at least to me, it's not nearly as bad as Mufasa's death in Lion King.
I think we still get enough. I mean, you know that our Atreyu was a plains people, a person, and you got to see him riding Artex for quite a little bit, and you got to see the horse's personality a bit before he actually went. I think we got enough myself. Of course, maybe
Whew.
I see more personality in the horse than some people, you know.
Whew. Well, okay, fair enough.
But as far as production goes, I thought that for its time, yeah, it was a tremendous effort, even though it strayed from the novel a lot. Um, I read the first half of the novel quite some years ago. I remember that Atreyu was green.
Uh,
He wasn't like most indigenous people. Um,
uh, Actually, yeah, that's one thing I'm glad you mentioned because that was something that was confusing me in the movie. Like when they said that they needed a human child to save Fantasia, and I was like, wait, is Atreyu not a human child?
hmm, the thing is, they needed an Earth child. They
Yeah,
didn't say
yeah,
human child; they said Earth child.
but yeah, later they said Earth child, but didn't they initially say human child earlier in the movie?
Nope, they needed an Earth child. But actually, they didn't know exactly what was needed. That's why they sent Atreyu to the southern north. Well, they sent him to figure out a way to uh, make the Empress unsick and figure out a way to stop the Nothing. That is what they sent him out to do. He didn't know anything thing of what he needed until he actually visited the Southern Oracle, and they told him Earth Child. It wasn't
Yeah.
Human Child.
Whew.
So Human
That
Child was
was,
not mentioned at all. It was just Earth Child, which
whew.
this is Fantasia is not Earth.
Uh, yeah, yeah, but why do I think I remember them using the phrase "human child" at one point.
I don't know. I know that they didn't.
What do you think, Tabby? You are muted, by the way.
I muted so you don't hear all the background like we keep hearing from you, my dear.
Uh, oh, from me.
Yeah, we keep
Yes.
hearing a lot of sound.
But
Oh,
anyways,
oh,
I thought
oh,
it's I thought it said I thought it said human.
No, it did not say human at all. They always said Earth Child.
Okay, I don't want to argue.
They might have said human Earth Child,
huh, maybe.
but that is all said, and that is what they needed. So, in any case, let's talk about the music. The actual music itself was conducted by two different people, Klaus Doldinger and Giorgio Moroder. And Klaus was also a composer for the movie Das Boot, which I know my dad likes that one a lot, and Ocean's 13, the remake. I guess he was on the soundtrack with Soul Town. Um, Looking at a lot of, I guess he's a German guy, so I guess he was a composer for a TV series called Hitler's Generals. A lot of short films the guy was known for, but let's go back to 1984 to see if he was in anything else. A Father's Revenge. Yeah, Das Boot, the mini series, which Wolfgang Peterson, he was a director of Das Boot. It's a war. Um, it's a war miniseries and movie that was about German U-boats of some sort. So, but from what I understand, Wolfgang Peterson was also a controversial director. I don't know why entirely per se, but he was.
Oh, interesting.
Let's see. The Roaring Rifles. Let's see. But yeah, score composer for Das Boot. But let's see. And the other guy was a part of. Okay, he apparently had done stuff for Top Gun. He was a composer for the movie Over the Top and Flashdance and the movie Midnight Express. So definitely had some. Oh, and he was a music arranger for Scarface, and he had some composing music for Superman 3. So, but Lamar,
Hmm.
the band Lamar, actually did the title song for the Neverending Story. Um, In fact, their music video actually has footage of the Neverending Story playing throughout it, which I think they came out with the music video in 1983. Oh, we lost
Oh,
Tammy for a moment.
yeah, I was about to say.
But ultimately, I guess there was a revival of the Neverending Story song in supposedly season 3 of Stranger Things. At least the song.
Oh, that's
I have
cool.
not heard it. I have not heard it yet from Stranger Things, but Stranger Things. Oh, there she is.
Sorry,
Yeah,
Kathy.
apparently. Yep.
Welcome back, Tammy.
Apparently, Stranger Things. Apparently, Stranger Things season 3 had a revival of the song in Stranger Things um, season 3. I don't know
Like,
whether it was redone or
like a cover or something.
a possible cover. Maybe maybe they used the actual music for it during the season 3, but I think that's the cool aspect of it. But let's get into favorite characters and our favorite scenes. Starting with you, Horace. If you had a favorite character or characters and our favorite scenes.
Oh, favorite character, kind of difficult to choose between Bastion and Atreyu. I mean, in a way they are one and the same. But maybe I would go with Bastion because I find his tendency to get lost in imaginary worlds kind of relatable. Um, and the favorite scene, well, I think it would be the scene with the Empress and with the whole thing being revived and all that. That would probably be my favorite scene.
Okay. How about you, Tammy? Favorite character or characters and our favorite scenes.
Well, my favorite character is Fel. Um, and I like the racy snail. He's cute. Um, favorite scene. Um, I guess my favorite scene would probably have to be more or less the end where he's when Bastion's riding Falcor all over. I mean, the whole ending where you see him and Fantasia is back. And it looks so beautiful, and then they go and take care of the bullies, of course. You know, but that whole ending, I think, is like my favorite scene.
Okay.
Yeah, so the same thing as mine. You just said it in more words.
I have two favorite characters myself. I like the Rockbiter and I like Falcor as favorite characters. Favorite scene? That whole Engelbrook scene. I like when he wakes up and the two married couple and the whole scene where you see the knight go up and uh, see that oracle thing, and he's like scaredy cat, and I guess I like Engelbrook as a character too, because he's like some men when they see their true selves, some men run away screaming. You know, uh, he, he's just a comical character and his wife, she's kind of a hoot too. So, um,
Did you just say a hoot?
yes, I did.
Hoot hoot!
But in any case, I like the design of the Southern Oracles, the two gates too. I mean, when you actually see both of those, the one is in the Southern Oracle that's entirely in blue, and
Oh
the other
yeah,
one.
they do look pretty cool actually.
Yeah. So as far as production goes, I do like the looks of the Southern Oracles, um, and whatnot. But and I do like the end of it, where he does get revenge on the bullies. So
Yes.
and the childlike empress, the actress who played her, she was never an actress in anything else ever
For
again.
real?
Yeah,
Why?
if you look up, I don't know why. She was just never on anything else. So,
Who?
but other than that, did anyone else have anything else to add?
Uh, well, I was
Releases
kind.
of this out.
Sorry, what?
There are quite a few releases of this out there. As far as anything goes, there's a really nice Korean release that I really want to get. That is region free, and it's got like the southern or that first gate of the Oracle on the back of the slipcover, and it looks
Oh.
fantastic. It's a Korean release,
Huh.
so I've seen that it's actually part of a set of the things, but there's not many of them online as much anymore. But they were made in Korea, and the covers of them are beautiful. Um, and I know that there's a couple of German releases that are out there. There was a German release of a 2-disc one that is now out of print. If you wanted to hunt that down too.
Whoa.
But there are some nice bootlegged artwork type sets out there too that are like in the like in the almost like $100 to get. But um, that being said, did you have anything else to add? I know you were starting to talk,
Uh,
Boris.
I was going to say, since you said this was not the complete story, like this first movie is apparently only half of the story, right?
Well, yeah, and there was a never-ending story part 2, and there was a never-ending story part 3, which had nothing to do with the books. And then they came out with a animated series at one point in time, and there was a mini series or a series that had only one season called Tales of the Neverending Story, which I
Who?
haven't seen myself. And supposedly they are supposed there's talk about remaking it. Um, in fact, if I remember correctly, when I looked it up, Seesaw Films is supposed to be, as of March 2024. They said that they were going to be adapting it for a TV series or something like that. I don't know whether it will come to fruition, but it's possible we might get a new adaptation of it. So we'll see. I
Who?
hope they
That
don't fuck
sounds
it up like
cool.
I hope they don't fuck it up like the Wheel of Time series that Amazon did.
They fuck up a lot these days.
But in any case, uh, Tammy, you didn't have anything else to add?
No, I'm sorry, I don't.
Okay, alrighty. Hopefully, you folks out there have enjoyed our discussion on the Neverending Story. Like, share, and subscribe, and we'll definitely be continuing our movie journeys. As next week we'll be doing something that Boris will be bringing forward. So, do you have an idea of what you want to do yet?
Well, not quite for sure yet. Actually, I have to go through my IMDb history. I have recently seen some interesting movies. I need to pick one.
And it has to be one that everyone can be able to see the movie. So if it's not in my collection or available to me, no can do. So,
Well, I
or at
will.
least you have to provide me with a copy if you found a copy of it.
Of course.
But in any case, like, share, and subscribe. Let us know down in the comments what you thought of the movie, whether you thought we were okay with it, and we'll see you next week here on Delusions of Grandeur. Thank you so
See you
much.
all. Thank you.
Say good night
Thank you.
or good
Good
afternoon.
night.
Good night, everyone.